This is part 2 of a 2-part podcast.
Hi, this is Mark. Sometimes talking to a friend or family member about permaculture can be met with a blank stare if it's all new to them. A great way to explain some of it can be over a card game using permaculture playing cards, which each have interesting facts with quality illustrations and descriptions. A wide range of people, places, and things, all related to permaculture, can be found on the permaculture playing cards at richsoil.com/cards.
You're right. When you start to map out where you're going to do this, there could be some trees that could end up being casualties. And there could also be a lot of trees that end up sticking around. And when you build the hugelkultur, it ends up making those trees very happy. So not all your trees are conifers. You mentioned mulberry. What else have you got that's not a conifer?
It's predominantly sweet gum. There's some poplar, or yellow poplar, I'll say. A few oaks. That's about it on the trees. A smattering of other species, stuff that looks like a cherry leaf. I don't know, some sort of serrated leaf. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I think the poplars are going to be awesome in a hugelkultur. They're going to be better than the conifers. Sweet gum I don't know anything about. We can't grow it around here, so I have no experience with it of any kind. So I'm not sure what to suggest. I like the idea of making those mulberries very happy. So having a hugelkultur go by a mulberry within a few feet, it seems like the roots of that mulberry will go up into the hugelkultur and be super happy. And that'll make that mulberry even bigger and stronger and produce more stinky fruit. I don't particularly care to eat mulberries. I find that they taste like what I imagine the inside of a funky tennis shoe tastes like. And so but other people just gobble them up and they're great. But the most important thing is about a mulberry is that when you grow other fruit trees, birds think mulberries are the best and they leave your other fruit trees alone. And the other thing is when you raise chickens, which is why I kind of brought up chickens. Bo is suggesting growing mushrooms. And that there's medicinal values. Okay. So maybe sweet gum, it sounds like sweet gum might go well inside of a hugelkultur as well. All right. I love the idea of really charming those mulberries. And they're going to be glorious and amazing in time. And at the same time, a lot of these other trees, and I'm kind of suggesting as you build your hugelkulturs, for every tree that you take down and put inside the hugelkultur, please plant 10 more. And so where you're at, you can grow apple. I hope you'll do at least a few apple trees from seed, but I understand if you're probably going to get some to transplant. But I guess what I'm doing is I'm saying a lot of hugelkultur, a lot of perennial foods, maybe a couple of black locust trees here and there, and things like that. But let me just check in with you. I'm talking about growing a lot of perennial foods on a lot of hugelkultur. How's that sitting with you?
Well, so I love the idea of perennial because, ideally the stuff is going to grow. And then I'll have the ability to go and say, hey, look, here's some surplus stuff, right? Like I can spend my time on other things. The apples, if it's apples, like there's already stuff growing and it's growing fine. It would be kind of neat if different things were growing to be put to some sort of use or not. I'm not trying to garden all of my food. But if I could, without a lot of effort, that sounds pretty magical to me.
Okay. So the fruit trees are going to need a little bit of care to get started. And then you can just ignore them. And they'll take care of themselves. And then you'll come back 7 years later and like, wow, that's a lot of apples right there.
I hope to be very stunned. S-T-U-N.
Yes!
And for our viewers, sheer, total, utter neglect.
A big tip of the hat to Mark Shepard. And so, yes, stun. That's what we want to do. And it's like, man, this is the ultimate lazy gardener way. And then on top of that, as long as we're going to talk about stun, we could talk about, we want 1 out of every 10 trees to be some kind of nut. Now, where you are, man, I would grow pecans from seed. Oh, exactly. So many pecans. And then we want 1 out of 10 to be a nitrogen fixer. And for me, that's black locust all the way. And then 1 out of 10 to be apple because, dude, I love apple. And I think apples should be like the number 1 tree for any project you're taking on. But of course, an orchard is an oxymoron. Permaculture orchard is an oxymoron, I believe. And so what we want is food forest, food jungle, something like that. Apricots, peaches, Georgia, you're in Georgia and you don't have peaches. I'm surprised they haven't kicked you out of Georgia. Aren't you required by law to like grow like 100 peach trees on an acre and a half?
My neighbors have some peach trees, and eventually they're going to start judging. I can feel it.
So that's got to be wrong to be in Georgia and not grow at least 1 peach tree. So peach, nectarine, plum. It just sounds dreamy already. Cherries, figs. You could probably grow figs there. That'd be nice.
We've got a fig tree. I've had fig
trees. You left that out.
Well, it's small and it's shaded by much larger trees, so it.
Well, those trees are in my fucking way right now. Those trees have got to go. I know that now. And there's got to be at least 1 hugelkultur that comes within 3 feet of that beautiful fig tree. So that way the fig tree is going to just be massive and glorious. And fig trees have 2 great crops every year. And so get those double crops. Go, go, go. Oh, I'm looking forward to it already. Somebody wants you to visit a garden in Athens. They're growing a lot of really self-sufficient perennials for your area. Grapes. You need to grow a lot of grapes.
Wild grapes already grow, the muscadines,
So when we look at, it seems like so Mark Shepard, when he writes about growing a lot of perennials instead of annuals, it seems like he has 5 crops. And I can't remember what all 5 of them are, but, let's just say apple, grape, and he does hazelnuts, but you'll do pecans. Maybe you'll do some hazelnuts. I think hazelnuts will probably do really well where you are. But a nitrogen fixer, of course, and then, apricots. Man, love apricots. I want to do everything in apricots, but apples are the best. And do lots of those. Imagine having, and so we talked about the picnic table, but what about having a big log Archie kind of thing going on, some kind of feat of engineering that carries, or just a grape trellis, and you have to walk under the grapes, or even better, a grape arbor over the picnic table. So, and then as you start thinking about this idea of this kind of like a maze thing, okay, there's a spot where there's the picnic table. What are the other spots? And what's going to be there in time? And so, what would be, now for me, I love the idea of like there's a giant, amazing piece of art. And maybe a thing to do would be to have a bunch of blocks of wood that are 17.5 inches tall, and they're fat blocks. So, fat blocks, really big blocks of wood from trees that used to be there. And you're going to make them all 17.5 inches long, because 17.5 inches is what we expect for a chair, for where we're going to sit. 17.5 inches. And let's say you got a dozen of those, and they all sit around a fire pit. And so, in one destination inside of your maze, there's the picnic table, and in another destination, there's the fire pit. And then maybe at another spot, you're going to build your your solar food dehydrator with rocket assist. And that way, when you have your massive bumper crop of apples, then you'll can some and you'll dry some and you'll have some of it transformed into syrup and some of it into sugar and on and on and on and on and on. And you're going to have a dozen different kinds of apples that you've preserved. And then let's suppose that you eat apples every day all year long in one form or another, and that this becomes your staple. I love this idea. I am hereby married to this idea. This is now my wife.
In idea land, we have many wives, perhaps.
Mormon permaculture. So, all right. I'm painting a picture, and now I want to get some feedback on how our picture. Oh, there you go. That looks lovely. That looks delightful. Thank you, Andreas. So John, how are we doing here? What have we left out? I think we've left out chickens. I kind of feel like leaving your chickens for 2 weeks is rough. That's rough to do. And if you change your mind in a few years for reasons, then, we can add the chickens later. For now, I've been kind of hyper-focused on we started with, there's some conifer trees that you don't like. You want them to go away. And I support that a lot. B, it sounds like perennial food systems are great, mostly because you can go away for 2 weeks and come back and they're still there. And they're happy. And in time, you're going to have all this food, and you like the idea of having a massive abundance of food there for reasons. And there's all kinds of reasons to want that. And it's but whatever those reasons are, it doesn't matter. That's what we've talked about. Then we've talked about art. I want the sensation of being able to walk out there, and it feels more like 4 acres than feels like 1.5 acres. And I just like that sensation. And when I go out there and I walk my path that goes through my pseudo 4 acres, I want there to be things along the path that are things of beauty that I can admire or experience. So you used a word, obstacle course. And I think we've morphed that to be not so much about physical activity obstacle course, but more about I don't want it to be just the same path the whole way. I want it to change up. I want it to be a different thing. I want this whole 4 acres to have some diversity to it and some beauty. I want to, when other people come along and you say, "Welcome to my permaculture paradise," they're like, "Take pictures! This is amazing!" You want trespassers to be impressed. So.
And right now, trespassers, when I walk outside and show them around, I'm like, here's my walking trail, and here's the tangle of muscadine vines that are as big as your arm. Have you ever seen a vine like that? And here, look at the swampy area. And, I try to see the variety, but it's a lot of the same. But that's,
you want to maintain the swampy area, and I would like to ask you to put up a sign that says "Bog of Eternal Stench." I just kind of need that sign to pop up. So, but I think that the swampy area needs to be, a tour destination, and that's where you're also going to put some chinampas in. Chinampa.
I don't know. I don't know that it's. I mean, when it rains, it does get a little mucky, and all the brush kind of naturally piles up there anyway. So may as well throw some more on.
And so I would say, be the beaver. Make that swampy spot deeper, bigger, better, beaverish. And then your chinampas will be even more glorious. The only problem is that, of course, it can become, especially in Georgia, a little bit of a mosquito pit. So you want to have ways to mitigate that. But still, what a glorious thing to come across on your 4-acre tour adventure set.
Well, right now, living in Idea Land, one of the wives I'm married to is that all of this will just magically happen. The going out and doing it and engineering a solution when the envisioned implementation doesn't work, of course, has to all happen. And well, that's the most difficult part, is actually doing some stuff. The logistical challenges, there's a section that I might want to put to hugel culture, but then that's going to change how the water flows and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Have you taken a PDC yet?
No.
Have you watched our PDC movie thing that we do? It's like the 133 hours of stuff.
I've thought about it. I've watched some lectures from it must have been from some PDC a number of years ago. So I watched some soil testing, and there were a variety of other things, but I mean there's so much to learn.
Well, you watched the World Domination Gardening thing, and so and we made designs in there, and so it's kind of a little bit similar, and that's kind of where I'm going with it, is okay, you make your design, but please don't get married to it, and it's going to be, here's my ideas for today, and tomorrow I'll have new ideas, I'll have different ideas, and so embrace change, and then you're right. Be thinking about where is the water going to go? Am I going to accidentally make a frost pocket? Am I going to, and maybe I want to make a frost pocket, and maybe I want to make a cold spot on my property. So there could be some of that. There could be I want to make some warm spots on my property. But it's okay, how much water do I want to hold on to? How much water do I want to block? Or do I want to let it all out? Do I want to route it all over to my swampy spot? Things of that nature. Those are good questions to make a permaculture design. And so, and it's a good thing to think about. And then of course, do I want to make a sun scoop, a place that's extra warm? And then maybe there's a picnic table inside the sun scoop, which is a great place to go and sit in the cooler months. And then there's a picnic table that's in the frost pocket spot. So it's a cool space to sit on warmer months. And the picnic tables are made entirely from trees that you harvested from your yard. Maybe. So, all right. You're talking about something where it was where am I going to get the gumption to do the project? It's one thing to map it out. It's another thing to go outside and do. Fair enough. Do you know other permaculture people? in your area?
No, I don't. That might be an interesting starting place.
So, all right, I'm going to make up a thing, and it goes like this. I know that years ago there was a thing that they would call a permaculture blitz, where somebody would have a property and they would invite 20 people out, and all 20 people would work on the property for a couple of hours. And then, and they tried to do it like every week or every month in different properties, and you'd blitz on other places. And they quickly devolved into the blitz part followed by a potluck part, and people just wanted to come to the potluck and they didn't want to do the blitz part. And so I have an idea. Let's suppose that you find a way to connect with 40 permaculture people within an hour or two of where you are. And then you say, I want to do a 4-hour blitz at my property. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide, I'm going to make pizza. Like, I'm not going to buy pizza. I'm going to make pizza. It's organic and it's, super aligned with permaculture values. And, I'm prepared to provide all these other culinary delights, for the people that come and be part of the blitz at my place with me. So part of what's going to happen is that when these people show up and they start picking up shovels, my guess is that you're not going to just pull up a lawn chair and a giant umbrella and a lemonade and sit and watch them do it. You are going to do it with them. Did I just solve the problem? I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, there's maybe sauce all over everything I just said, but if nothing else, your sensation is that I've made the design and I like the design. I like what I'm going to do, but I'm struggling with the part of holding the piece of paper in my hand and the part where I go and I cut down that tree and the part where I get the shovel and I start to make my first hugelkultur.
Hey, this is T. Blankenship. Have you seen the new video of Wheaton Labs? It is permaculture awesomeness with all new and improved things like more rocket mass heaters, easy bake coffin, Willy Wonka, rocket cooktop 2.0, and the truly passive greenhouse. To see more, go to permies.com/tour. Again, that is permies.com/tour.
Did I understand it correctly, or am I like... Did I read something in there that wasn't there?
No, that's a significant part. And then that also, an idea like that solves another problem, which is a lack of experience and practical knowledge, right? So like someone who knows what they're doing can take a step outside and they might think, hey, if you put your hugelkultur here, there's too much shade. Good luck growing anything. Or maybe they go, hey, it's no problem, let's just get to work. Whereas me, I think and I go, seems like the only things that are growing are vines and the current trees, and if I don't open up the canopy, am I just going to have everything wash away?
So, I do think that your canopy is going to make it so that other trees are going to be challenged to get started. On the other hand, they'll sell a chainsaw to anybody and the trees don't run away. You don't have to chase them down. They hold still. And it's like, guess what, tree? You got a new purpose now. And you're going to be my picnic table. Congratulations. Now, quit blocking all my sun and come down here and become a picnic table.
See, but in that sort of plan and greater purpose really does resonate with me, because I like looking out and seeing life. Like, I don't want to see destruction. Like, I want to see life.
I like that too. I also like the idea of, I noticed that this road that goes around your property is paved. And so that kind of tells me of a certain number of people that drive down your road. And if you're outside basking in the glow of nature and somebody drives down the road, it kind of harshes your smooth a bit, doesn't it? It kind of,
great way of putting it.
It makes your sanctuary a little less sanctuary. And then if it's teeny boppers in their giant truck that doesn't have a muffler and they like to go wham, wham, wham. More so.
You say you've not been to Georgia before. I'm not sure I believe you.
Oh, we got hillbillies all over the country. They're not exclusively in Georgia. Hell, I understand that down where you're at, they got Alabama and Mississippi, and I've heard some tales of northern Florida. And
the stories of Florida man are spread far and wide.
Right. And I suspect that Georgia is working on some new competitive dudes to compete with Florida man. And what they've come up with is a little frightening. That's just a guess. I don't really know of any exact stories. Oh, sorry. I'm sure there's stories. I'm sure that there's stuff going on, and it's like, holy shit. You know, that ought to put Florida man in his place. Now try to do that, Florida man. Try to beat that.
But with designing, you know, as you've talked about, these ideas of having one area, there's a reason to go to this area. There's an area over here that has a different type of purpose, right? And so if these areas are kind of planned out, and, you know, I have walking trails and I have areas that I'll sit or stay for a little while. So, I mean, I'm used to that idea. But if those areas where people time is going to be spent, then it's not that difficult to think of your sight lines on these areas, and then maybe that goes into where the hills are, the hugels.
I think one of the things I'm proposing at the moment is that if you were to build extra large hugelkulturs close to the road, it would effectively delete the road. And on top of that, you got a driveway like this, right? And I kind of wonder if you could do a hugelkulturs like this, so that way when you do your driveway to your house, you have to kind of meander a little bit, but it will more effectively block off the road from your view. And then once you've accomplished that, then when there are vehicles on that road, then you definitely won't see them, and the volume knob will have been turned down an awful lot. Like, you'll probably eliminate about 85 to 90% of the sound of the vehicles going by. The remaining sound is actually, it's kind of interesting. It's the sound goes up and hits your trees and bounces back down to you. But the sound that is projected sideways from the vehicle hits your hugelkulturs and your berms and then goes up where you don't hear it. And that's most of the sound. Most of the sound from a vehicle is projected to the sides. And if you can just block that, you've blocked most of it. But now you have a little bit more peace. You have a little more sanctuary. You have a lot more food growing, and you have art that you stumbled upon accidentally from engineering, which is the only kind of art I know. There are other people that are actual artists, and they'll create actual art and do actual art things. I don't know how they do that. It's magic to me. But the picnic table out in the middle of your new 4-acre path, I think that ends up being kind of like art. I think. Maybe. Ooh. Julia says berms and hugels are really good at blocking road noise. I've experienced that at Wheaton Lab. So yeah, here it is phenomenal. You can hear a car going by, but you really hear very little of it. And you forget about the cars for the most part. Once in a while, somebody will go by in that massive pickup truck that has no muffler, and we'll hear that. But for the most part, wow, it really, really reduces the noise. Which is why we have berm sheds and we have berms. And we frequently talk about, let's make those berms even bigger. You know, let's get even more benefit. Yay. Okay. I think we've come up with a solution here that's good for if you go away for 2 weeks. We've also come up with a possible solution for doing it. Now, some of us are so bonkers about gardening, we're already going to go and do it no matter what. But at the same time, I kind of feel like if you have the means to be able to, like, you know, the night before, like, you know that there's going to be 20 people coming over the next morning, and you're going to feed them. You offered organic pizza, and you offered organic pie, and organic beverages like water kefir, you know, and you have all these permaculture food delights to be part of your blitz. So the night before, the day before, you kind of prepare that, and you're like, well, where am I going to get the gumption for that? And it's like, well, when you got people coming the next day, suddenly you're doing it. You find yourself doing it. All right, so now you got all that stuff prepared, and then the people show up, and then you kind of do some blitz, and you're out there doing it with the people, and you're kind of like, well, somebody here should know what the hell they're doing. And if you've got a dozen people who showed up out of 20 who said they'd show up, then chances are a couple of them know some things that you don't know, and you know some things that they don't know, and sucking at something is the first step at getting to be good at something. And so get out there and suck a bit. And so you're going to get out there, you're going to do some things, you're going to suck at it, you're probably going to drop the wrong trees, and you're going to drop some of the right trees, and you're going to build some hugel cultures, and later you're going to say, like, oh, I was so stupid to do it right there. What was I thinking? and it's like, but after a 4-hour blitz, a couple of important things happen. One is you had a whole bunch of people come out, and you actually did the thing. You probably ended up doing a lot more than you would have done by yourself over like 8 weekends. And so that's kind of cool. And it was far more fun. And you know, the ingredients for the feed that you put on didn't cost you all that much. So cool. Progress?
Very practical. I'm not surprised with the fusion of idea land and creativity, and then also practicality.
I mean, okay, so you watched the World Domination Gardening 3-movie set. And so we got a lot done. And that was just 3 days. And we got a pond built. We had a whole lot of plants planted. We really shaped that landscape. And I'm just thinking of the one that's down in San Diego. And so we built the pond. We built a ditch going out from the pond. We built some swales. We built a bunch of swales. We built a terrace. We built a big-ass hugel culture. And we mulched it, and we did lots, and it was kind of deserty. There wasn't a lot to work with, but we made the best of it, and we changed our designs a lot based upon what we discovered when we were out in the field as we're going along. And now, granted, I was there, and there were some other people that were pretty savvy that were there, and we did what we could with the dumb fucks we had. Mostly, hell, they even let me in there. What do I know? And so, and then on top of all of that, we had a bunch of classroom time. So, I don't know. I think it turned out pretty great. And then we heard the results later, which then we go back a year later with Jeff Lawton. And Jeff looked around and gave his feedback. But the big thing was that pond held water for months afterwards. It only lost a little bit to evaporation. That pond did great. All I'm saying is that you got to get out there and suck at it a bit. Get out there and do a little bit. And if you're having trouble getting out there for whatever reason, then the moment that you have a blitz, you kind of have to.
True.
Although I find that sometimes we have an event here, and I got my shovel, and I got my wheelbarrow, and I got my gloves on, and I'm trying to keep up with these young people, and I can't keep up. I have to go sit down and rest. And so, in the boot camp, we encourage everybody, especially their first couple of weeks, don't try to keep up with everybody. Sit down and rest a lot. And then we still get people who try to keep up and they just, are killing themselves. So it's you got to stop. You got to know your limits. You can have a lot of lawn chairs or chairs. Take all your kitchen chairs outside, a bunch of lawn chairs, all sit outside. So everybody gets to rest as much as they want. And it's but if I catch you resting too much, no pizza for you. What else we got, John? What else is on the agenda? What else is coming up the works? What else do you want out of this?
Yeah, it's just the idea of doing it. And,
are you there by yourself? Do you have a fam, or are you shopping for a fam?
There's one other person with me, but I'd probably recruit some help one way or the other. Was always kind of the idea, over a weekend or a holiday here and there. And to just start at one piece of it, and then whatever's learned doing the one piece really would be instructive for the rest.
So I don't know about Georgia. I do know that you posted to the Southern USA forum, so you might be able to find some people on Permies in our regional forum. That's cool. That's great. And that's one way. I do know there's a lot of people that have been out here to Wheaton Labs that came from Georgia, and so they're out there. They're there. I do know that for cities like Portland and Seattle, and even Spokane, they have networks of permaculture enthusiasts, and they even have regional events. And so it's possible that you could find out what your online resources are to connect with the other people in your area. And I don't know where to begin with something like that. But you could start with Permies, start with the regional forum on Permies and start a thread that says, how do I connect with the people in this particular area? Does anybody know if there's a mailing list, a group of some kind, any kind of electronic something or another to be able to communicate with people, or maybe people can just tell me where they are. Are there any people here on Permies that are near me? Stuff like that, and kind of get started down that road. But I do think, if nothing else, if somebody else has a blitz, I imagine you would find some value in going to that blitz. You might go. Say, I'm bringing peaches. I stole off my neighbor's tree. I don't know. So, seems like we covered a lot of stuff.
I agree.
So, we came up with some designs. We came up with ways to implement those designs. It's entirely plausible that I don't know if you want to hire people to do stuff. Are you looking to hire somebody that might do some of this?
One of the thoughts that crossed my mind was at least hiring someone who knows how to operate the machinery and can teach me how to.
That's good. We recorded something where we try to teach people how to use this machinery, and we can't find the recording anywhere, and that happens. It happens a lot. But surely there's got to be some YouTube videos about that kind of thing. It's another possibility is that if you happen to come here when we're doing earthworks, then drive our machinery for a little bit and kind of get the hang of it. That's a possibility. I'd say usually operators aren't very interested in teaching people how to be an operator, and so it's like if you hire them, it's like, no, I just do the work. And so I'm not sure if that'll work. And I usually they come with their own equipment that they own, and they're probably going to be not okay with somebody else driving their equipment. Is just a guess. So there's that. It does seem like though that if you have a blitz and you're going to rent an excavator for the day, you might get a lot of people who show up to help you just want to get in 15, 20 minutes driving the excavator. And you might find that you have, you said, okay, the blitz is for these 4 hours. You might find, if you do it in the morning, you might find half those people are still there by 5 o'clock that night because they wanted to put in more time driving the excavator. No, I don't mind sticking around.
I didn't realize it would be such a draw.
It is, it is a strong draw. And so maybe if people who are like looking in the chatty chat, I can't see the chat, but maybe there's people in the chat who can, if I click on this button, will I see more? Oh, look, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Anybody who's driven an excavator and thought it was super fun, let us know in the chat, and then we can get it posted up here or something. But I think driving an excavator is gobs of fun, and it does seem like, I know we've had, a couple hundred people come through, and we give them a chance on the excavator, and they mostly, I would say 95% enjoy it very much, and 5% are like, that just freaked me out. Okay, Andreas has driven an excavator. Here they go. Look at all those notes. There we go. Someone said they didn't get to when they were a boot. And so, well, damn, we try to do that for everybody. Maybe our excavator was sad at the time. So, yep, here they all are. Yes, fun. Woo. So if you rent the excavator at the same time, that could be pretty cool. You can kind of get a bunch of people there that are helping you build a whole bunch of hugelkulturs, dropping trees and whatnot, and at the same time people driving the excavator. I don't know. It could be a wild hoot. So, all right. John, we good? We're done? Are we at the end?
We might be. The end of one thing, beginning of another. This was very much a creative type question, less of an implementation type question. I'm happy to help support you and Permies, and hopefully it supports my future too.
Nice. All right. If you like this sort of thing, come on out to the forums at permies.com, where we talk about how fun an excavator is, homesteading and permaculture all the time.
Put Paul's brain on your plot. Do you have a hunk of land but don't know where to start? Do you have a world-changing permaculture idea and you need some feedback? Do you feel like the guy in overalls may inexplicably hold the keys to all your wildest permaculture and homesteading dreams? Well, you're probably wrong. But if you want to give it a go anyway, you can hire Paul for a consultation. He will be all yours for a whole entire hour. Schedule your Paulversation today at Permies.com/consult. Permies.com/consult.